sell us a dream. You made us spend our youth, our wealth in this country and gave us a dream.
I've been in the USA for almost 4 years now. A lot of what I thought it was going to be like is not what I experienced. I thought there would be a lot more fat people, celebrities just roaming the streets.
There's more opportunities, more places to apply to, like in terms of schools. The research is better.
I knew that there were business opportunities in the United States that I wouldn't have in Australia. That was why I specifically chose to go to the East Coast. I actually wanted to be based out of New York.
I was excited for her. I'd lived in New York for a while, actually several places in the USA. I'd lived in Missouri, New Jersey and New York. I had a brilliant time and I was excited for her to have some of those kind of experiences.
They gave me the best opportunities. I am from a third world country, and so Duquesne gave me the best aid academically and athletically.
And so what really drew me to moving to the US is that I've always wanted to work in foreign correspondence in journalism. The work that I want to do is not based in Australia. At best, I could do a position that I want to do based out of Melbourne or Sydney. But I've always wanted to move internationally. I've always wanted to see what my opportunities are internationally.
You're not here to take your resources away.
I have a student F1 visa. A student visa basically means that as long as you're enrolled in a school, you will be able to be allowed in the United States. So I'm not allowed to work. I'm not allowed to just live. I have to be attending a school to be eligible to be on this visa.
In the last several months since the new administration came into office, I think international students are much more attentive to what's happening around them and federally that could affect them. There were, I can't remember if we talked about this before, but I think the most disturbing development that happened in the spring was that a bunch of students across the country, there's SEVIS records, and SEVIS is the database that reports students to the government. So all of us here at, as school officials, we manage students' records in SEVIS, and overnight, hundreds of students' SEVIS records were terminated unexpectedly. And across the field, we've never seen that happen before, and there was no warning from the government that that was going to happen or any guidance about how to advise students if their records were terminated.
I then had to apply online and book a date for an appointment, which was an interview appointment. I then had to fly from my hometown to the capital city, Cape Town, which is an hour and a half away, and go for the interview appointment, which was in person. They asked me a couple of questions on my application, such as what my future plans were, if I was planning on staying in the United States. And I said no, because if you do say yes, they won't grant your visa.
So I'm a junior paralegal intern at the Wu Law Firm. I work part-time now, so what I do mainly is to assist senior paralegals in terms of litigation production. So like I help with drafting written pleadings or with like I-589 forms for USCIS or just court proceedings. Rutgers has the International Student Services. It's called ISSS, and they have a website that basically teach you all the things that you need to know being a F1 student, and I think that's really helpful. You could also schedule interviews or just sessions with the advisors, and they will tell you what you need to know.
This university doesn't have it out for international students, and we have a lot of support from our global office, so I've been really blessed in that fact that I've never felt that I had to hide my immigration status. But I do think I'm more aware of it than I used to be.
I don't think that they affect students' decisions in their everyday life, although they certainly should affect decisions that they make along the way in their college journey.
Yeah, I did start to get concerned. I read an article about a young girl who was travelling through the States and Canada. She tried to cross over into Canada. She'd spent, I think, a couple of months in the US. And then when she tried to cross the border into Canada, her visa wasn't correct, so she couldn't go through. And then she wasn't allowed to return into the US. So she was taken to an ICE detention centre, which seemed strange to me that she wasn't just sent back to the UK. Yeah, her parents, I was following it in the news, and her parents were asking for her to be sent home, but she ended up spending, I think, nearly 2 weeks in the detention centre. Conditions weren't great, and yeah, that concerned me because sometimes visas, stuff happens. The visa might something might have been left off, and I didn't want that for my daughter.
Our team is very committed and very loyal, and they stick with it, even no matter how crazy the whole immigration landscape is right now. And I feel like we're here and prepared to support students. Long story short, the students at Rutgers turned out to be okay because their records were eventually returned back to active status, as was the case with most of the students across the country. But I think that experience made students very anxious that it could happen to them. And the ones who were impacted had to make really quick decisions about whether they were to get legal representation, whether they should depart the US or stay here. And they were, of course, worried about ICE deportations. So that just really heightened everyone's anxiety, including us as school officials. And it made students just wonder, what could this happen to them?
I've been having a lot of doubt, should I stay here? Should I continue my studies for med school here, or should I go somewhere else that would appreciate me and my talent?
I vividly remember last year around about this time getting an email from our global office saying, please make sure that you carry your passport and immigration papers with you at all times, and we also cannot guarantee that the buildings on campus are safe from ICE raids. And I'll never forget feeling like that was the first time that I felt that I wasn't really safe in the place that I lived, and that there was also nothing that the university could actually do about that.
I think our kids need to go off and see the world and do exciting things, and we should encourage that. But there's more to think about and prepare for, and just reflect a little on things that could happen and make sure that they stay safe.
I just felt like we were being punished.
Without a doubt, they're discouraging international students to come here.
I think the US government, even prior to the Trump administration, has taken international students for granted and the amount of money that they bring in for granted. I think the Trump administration is very deliberately targeting international students.
We add value here, hence why there's an option to come to study over here, and then all of a sudden there's no more value, so we should just kick them out. I think that's kind of cruel.
I've had countless people younger than me who have looked at me, looked at what I've gone through, looked at the trouble and the amount of money that I've had to pay to get to where I am now, and said, I don't know if that's worth it. I don't know if that's worth it.
They have this thing where they want to keep you in your place, be seen and not heard. I think they're looking at people who they can get, which are people who are very spoken about politics, because they could change the laws, they could make them fit their narrative.
It just seems unsustainable, and I think that's what scares me the most. You almost need a leg up in the world to kind of just start, and I don't know if that's fair.
Yeah, shattered. The American dream is shattered.
I think it's sad if students think that it's not attainable, because I think it should be. I think it still is for the time being,
I had come to really appreciate how much the culture shock had made me into someone who saw the value in working hard and saw the rewards in working hard.
In reality, it's not that simple.
I've never thought it's a real thing. I think it was a ruse. I don't think it was ever attainable. I don't think it was ever achievable. Do I think the American dream is something to strive towards? Yes. Do I think it's achievable? Maybe for like 5% of the population, 10% of the population. I don't think that the average American can achieve the American dream.